Hey, so thank you so much for signing up to learn more about how to build your own website in about an hour. This was recorded live, so if there are some stutterings or technical difficulties, that's why. I just wanted to give you a quick introduction about who I am and what you should expect to get out of this webinar. So, my name is Jess. I'm the founder of Lead Nerds. I started freelancing about 10 years ago and started Lead Nerds as a business 2 years ago. Our mission is to build strong digital foundations while maintaining that real human connection. So, this means that we want the digital space to be something that anybody can enter and learn more about. We don't want to make it this magical thing that only the technical people know how to do. We want all business owners that are starting now or are starting later to know how to run their business technically without having the money and the resources to do so. You know, when you have those resources, then yes, totally find somebody to handle the technical back end of your business. But we really want businesses to be able to start from their bootstraps and build up into great companies. So I hope you enjoy this webinar.
Let's just get started since we're already a little bit late and everything. So basically your domain name is your address to the house or website, that you live in or where your website is hosted. So what is very important to know about your domain name, that's basically the www.blank.com.io.co, anything like that. You want to research and make sure that that name is available first. So I advise people to go to namecheap.com. I would suggest Namecheap rather than GoDaddy because GoDaddy has been known to be a company that will, watch, I guess, what you're searching and buy those domain names up and then resell them to you. So Namecheap does not do that. So, let's say the example site that we're going to go through is a spa website. So, we could search for, destination spa central. And it would search, it would see if it is available, which it is. And then you could add to cart and, buy your domain name like that. Now, for your hosting, I suggest SiteGround is what we're using now. And with these, if you're going to go with like WordPress or something that you're going to host yourself, which is also what I suggest, you can purchase your domain name directly through your host. Sometimes they'll give you a free domain name with the first year of hosting, and then it's like $15 after that. So it really depends on what you're going for. So the difference between hosting or self-hosting and builder-based hosting. So self-hosting means that essentially you own the platform and you can move your website from host to host if you need to. So that basically means like if you were moving your house, you could move all of the contents of your house to another house. Now, if you are doing like a builder-based hosting, which is an example, would be like Wix.com or Shopify. With these kinds of things, it gives you a builder to build with, which is really nice and easy. You get all these templates and things like that. But, what could be an issue is that you can't move all of your things to another host if you want to. You have to stay with Shopify, Wix, Squarespace hosting. So we specialize in more of like WordPress and the self-hosted hosting. So that means that, say you wanted to host with us because we're a reseller, you could, we would have your website built And then say a couple years down the road, you decide, oh, there's this other host out there that is way faster than you guys, and I want to move. Then we would be able to pick that website up and basically move it to that new host. Again, with Wix, Shopify, there are some custom CMS or content management systems out there that don't allow you to fully move the site. You would have to completely rebuild it. So if we have someone that comes from Wix and they want a WordPress site, it would have to be completely rebuilt. The only thing we could use is content and images. So with that, the total cost month to month is, you have less than $100 up front for less than $100 up front normally, and then about $15 for hosting. It depends on the hosting plan you get. Like if you get a startup, it can be $7 a month for the first year. So that technically means that you would pay the entire year up front. And then it would be, if you did month to month, it would be the $15 a month plan. But again, that includes, the website, free SSL, which we'll go over. Is super important because it gives you that little, lock on the, so if I move this down, you can see this little lock on the URL bar. That basically just means that this website is trusted by the browser. So this helps with SEO and all sorts of things. So it's definitely important to make sure that you have an SSL, even if it's free. So we are going to get started. We have a WordPress already installed. So let's say you started with SiteGround. You would just click Get Plan, and you can register your new domain name if you need to, complete, and then they would have a one-click WordPress install. A lot of hosting now has one-click WordPress install, so we're going to start with what you would see after that. Okay, so I'm going to log in. So this is a brand new install straight off of SiteGround. It even is not secured. So if you see this, this is the difference of if it is not secured, that's what it would show. So let me clean up my tabs. Okay, so we're going to go over to Settings and then General. And this is where your general settings are, obviously. So this is where your site title is, your tagline, and this is also where you would change your address. So we're just going to add an S to these because we already have Let's Encrypt enabled on the SiteGround side. So all this is waiting for is for the actual URL to be changed. A lot of the times whenever you run into issues, this is where it is. So we're going to click Save Changes, and then it's going to have us log back in. Okay, and we're back. So let me take some water. Okay, so so that you don't have to, fully code and use themes and, all sorts of stuff, you can. We like to use Elementor, which is a website builder. So this basically replaces the Wix, Shopify, Squarespace environment where you can drag and drop things. So I'm going to go to Plugins and click Add New, and then I will look for Elementor and install now. I'm going to activate. Okay. So I'm going to go Pro because that is the environment I'm used to. They do, of course, have the free version. Oops, okay. Let's just try that again. All right. Should have been, again, this is, you get the live, so you get all the live issues. So, well, I guess we can share that, but okay, so I can just go over the actual cost of Elementor. So Elementor is $50 a year. For our clients, we include it. But yeah, so if you wanted the actual pro version of this, you can get it, but there is, again, the free version as well. So, let's go. Okay, so it doesn't want to give me the license. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to download the plugin. Yeah. Yeah, I already did that. Yep, I got it. So we have the plugin installed on the computer. So we're going to click Add New. If you get an account for Elementor Pro, then it will give you the zip for it. So we're going to install now and activate. Okay, and then we're going to connect and activate. Activate. Cannot get token. All right, so again, just do things twice because sometimes that's what it needs. Okay, so now that we have that installed, we're gonna add a new page. So this is the regular Gutenberg block editor that WordPress has, but we're gonna edit with Elementor. And then we're going to switch it to Canvas. There's also the full width, which basically means that you can make your own header and footer for Elementor so that it shares across screens. But we're going to click Canvas. Now, if you notice by the green background, that is because there's a theme installed that shouldn't be there. So let's just go back to exit to dashboard because I should have done this first, and go to themes, and then I'm going to add new, and I'm going to find the hello theme. This is a, nothing on there kind of theme. Make sure it's by Elementor, which it is, and install. So this way you don't have any extra code that you don't need. We're then going to go through these and delete the old themes that we're not going to use. Okay, so let's go back to the page. Edit with Elementor. And now we have a blank space to make something. All right, so first we're going to talk about how to actually what we're going to put on this site. So to go over that, we want to talk about the differences between features and benefits. A lot of the times when people have a service or product, they'll talk about like what the actual product is and what it has and not what it does for somebody. So the feature would be, for an iPod is a storage of, 1 gigabyte of MP3s or whatever. It's not that anymore, but to help people understand what that was, they would say 1,000 songs in your pocket, and that really like sells it to them. So number one thing is you want to make sure that you remember is that features explain what a product is and benefits explain what your product or service does for them. So other examples are, if you're talking about pants, like the actual details of the pants, but before someone cares really about the size, they're worried about, what is the actual quality, how is it going to help me, things like that. So you want to, think about hard-wearing jeans that will last you years. What are the worries that these people have? Is it going to be comfortable? Am I going to look good in it? Things like that. So now we're going to talk about, now that I guess, have an idea of what kind of mind space you should be in. You should be in the mind space of the consumer. We want to think about, who is the actual customer, consumer, user, whoever that is going to come to your site. What kind of language should you be speaking? Who is going to be the purchaser for your product? So there's a difference between the actual customer and then the actual person that's going to purchase a product. For example, if you have, a retirement home, sure, you might have to get the yes from the person that's going to be living in the retirement home that they like it, but ultimately it may be their children that are paying for it. So you have to really sell it to them. Kellogg's would make, serial video games, through a website in the 90s to promote their brand. But then they would promote in newspapers and store flyers to parents to actually buy the product. So then the kids would be like, yeah, we definitely want this because we played a video game about it. But the parents also are the ones ultimately purchasing it. So the parents may not buy it just based on the video game. That's not the ultimate purpose. So you also want to think about like different landing pages, different, advertising avenues, do different things. So you shouldn't always be worried about the conversion. You want to be worried about the right conversion. What is your conversion rate? Is it brand awareness? Is it getting a phone number? Or just having them walk into the store, talk about it on social media? All those kinds of things are conversions. So that is, again, another thing that you would want to think about. So what do you actually put on a website? So I like to go to, if you don't have real, photos, you can use, free stock photography, or you can go to iStock. But these are, again, we're bootstrapping, so we want to just look at the free things, basically. So we have Pexels, and then another one I suggest is Unsplash right here. So again, if you're signed up for the email to this webinar, you'll receive these links afterwards. And again, any other emails or questions and the actual recording to the webinar. So I have found everything I'm looking for in Unsplash. But first, we're going to talk about what the website is that we're creating. So essentially, the idea of this website is a spa that is themed by you. So you want to imagine, how they have escape rooms that change themes every 3 months and things like that. We want a spa that, is a different, maybe there's different rooms that change every season, or maybe you vote on them and they change that way. Again, I don't actually own a spa, but this is just, again, idea last minute came up with. So what I did is I went into Pexels and I just found some photos. So maybe we'll have like a Japanese spa inspired area that we talk about. You know, we have like the Northern Lights. So maybe, you know, again, you want to paint the picture for somebody. So even though I don't have a picture of this place, you can imagine, you know, what it would be like to have a spa experience with like the Northern Lights above your head and things like that. Or maybe like a beach feel, jungle feel. You know, you want to have that differentiating factor, you know. So before you even get into a website, you really want to think about what makes me different from the competition, because otherwise you're just going to look like the other templates out there. And even if you are starting low scale, low budget, when someone comes to your site, you want to have a brand that they can easily recognize and pick up as you grow. So we're going to download some of these images. So I'm going to download. And again, it's this easy. You can search for all kinds of stuff on here. You know, oh, that's a good idea. We can even have like a space themed one, you know, like there's all kinds of things you can do. But yeah, so we're going to go there, and then we're going to go into Canva. Normally what I would do is I would go into like Photoshop and then resize things. But again, since we're trying to keep things low budget, Canva is a free option for you to resize photos to any size you want. So if we're making a custom size, let's just say it's, you know, 600 by 600. Okay, so we want to upload. And we're going to upload all of these photos. So while we're waiting for that to load, let's get a basic layout for the website. So we're going to add a section. So the proper way to do this would be to have one section and then have intersections inside. But we're going to try to keep it simple, because that can be a, you know, sometimes it takes a little bit more brain power, and we're working on a time budget, so we're not going to do that. So I'm going to go to Icon to look at what kind of icons they have and see if we can make up a logo of some sort. Okay, so we can go in and change the color. You can also set global colors in here. What is that one? I forgot the color thing. Is it colors? There is this. There it is. Okay. So it's called coolers.co. That's COOLRS.co. And then we would just go click Start Generator, and it will let you just click the space bar. They're getting all kinds of ads. That's what happens when you get cool. You just start putting ads on your website. So we're gonna just click the space bar. That's all I'm doing to get all these types of colors, basically. So press backspace. We may just do something like this. Keep it really, really crazy, because we're a cool website. So let's pull this. I don't know. I like this. I'm gonna do this one. Oop. Okay. So we have our space. Now I'm going to bring over, it really helps to have two screens. But we're gonna pull over our colors. Secondary color. Let me find a good text color. I would definitely recommend something darker as a text color. So maybe this black chocolate. And I'm just looking for colors. All right, so this is a really unique spa website. We may change the colors later, who knows. But let's go in here, and now we can choose our colors. So, next we got a layout. I like the two-section layout. So we'll have an image here, a title here, and text there. Then we want to vertically align to the middle. And then we're going to come back into our Canva area, and maybe we'll do this. Sometimes it'll just fill up the whole screen, but it does not want to do that right now. So again, this is all just draft. We're basically trying to speed run this spa, and yeah. Okay. So now we're gonna want to go into compress. So there is a website called compresspng.com that will allow you to upload your files and compress them. That way they load faster, basically. So this was like 500 kilobits, and now it is not. It is 61% less than that. So let's rename to, spacemen, basically. Let's just do that. Okay. Da-da. Select. Okay. So we're gonna do spa experience themed by you for the header. Have a unique experience every time. So unless you want to stick with this, text layout, I would suggest going through and finding a text that looks good for you. I would use Google Fonts because that is already loaded basically into the internet. It's optimized for the internet. It's Google, so they like it. And it's free, so free is good. So I'm going to use probably Playfair Display for this, but there's all kinds of stuff in here. They have icons, they have fonts. You can just literally scroll through all the different fonts that there are. So, again, you can do whatever. So we're going to do play flare. Then I'm going to scroll down. And I'm going to look at the different pairings that they have. And maybe we'll just use something like this. So, what do we want? Yeah, so I think we'll just do, well, what's cabin? But yeah, so this is something basically you can just play around with. But again, we don't want to get too caught up in choices right now. So let's go into our settings. In our site settings, typography. Nope, we're going to go into global fonts. And we're going to click our primary, which is going to be the Montserrat. Then I like it when things are all capitalized. But oh, it's not. That's why. Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know why it's not. Weird. Okay. Well, we can do that in the other one. Play fair. Secondary. Maybe we'll do like 26. Text 16. And we'll make it the same. Update. Okay, so we need to make this bigger. Oh, well, it's text, that's why. Okay, that's fine. So then you can go in here if you wanted to override particular types of text. But if not, you could click this global for the typography, and then it'll just pull what you've already selected. So then you don't have to select it again. But we're going to keep it like that. Do this. We're going to give the header, oh my gosh. Gotta give it some room to breathe. There we go. Maybe we want this to be a circle, or you could do something crazy. You know, you could do something like that if you wanted to. Yeah, let's just loop it around. Why not? Okay. So then, say you wanted to have a shadow, you could do it here. Could adjust the shadow if you wanted to. So you wanted like a motion effect, but we're not going to do a motion effect. Nah, we'll stick with that. Okay. So we have our header in there. So, So again, we want to talk about, you want to call them to action above the fold, which basically means when they open the website, this is what they see. So if I went to preview and open the site, this is what you would see before you would scroll down. So you want to make sure that when they get there, they know exactly what this site is about. After that, you want to give them a direction to go in. So say you want to, book your experience. You want to call them to action for that. So again, I like all uppercase for this. Maybe we'll make it bold. We'll make it full width. There you go. Yeah. Then we'll make this section have a little bit more padding. Then we want to add a little hover effect, so maybe it will grow, and the background color change. Maybe we want it to be yellow. No, we'll just stick with the blue. Stick with that. Yeah, that's okay. Okay, so now that we have a call to action, unless they already know what your site is about, you're going to have to talk more about yourself. So again, we're going to bring back into the features versus benefits. You want to make sure that when you're talking about your business that you're bringing up the benefits first before the features. People would rather know how they're going to feel rather than what you're going to do. Because you're ultimately selling that transformation, not just what you do. If I tell somebody I'm going to give them a website and they don't care how, then that's fine. That's the ultimate goal, is the website. I don't have to walk them through the technological details unless they ask. Or again, that's at the bottom when they're ready to purchase and make decisions between two people, or if you're selling a car, then you're going to look at stats, basically. Okay, so we're going to want to think about, what are the 3 to 5 common myths in your industry or key features that make you different? What are the common hesitations about, for example, buying a car that makes you not want to buy a car? You may not want to buy a car because you don't want to deal with the annoying car salesman. So if a dealership comes forward and says that, hey, our car salesmen are directed to not talk to you at all. If you come here and you drive up, they're not going to talk to you. They only talk to you when you talk to them, basically. That may be a selling feature for somebody that doesn't want to talk to people, basically. So that is something that you're going to want to make sure to feature down there. So the myths that we're dealing with the spa industry is that spas are expensive, the people in there are pretentious, and it's only for women. So we want to make a spa experience and show within this website a spa experience that, isn't any of those things, that you're purchasing an experience. You're not just going to feel better, you're going to remember this experience because it is so unique. And each time you go, it's going to be different. And those different memories in your brain will trigger different things and make you remember again that experience, because that is ultimately what people want to buy. So we're going to do the 3 columns now, and we're going to, put these together. So first, let's design one. Let's put background type on it. Let's say we do blue. Depends. I don't know. This is the hardest part, is just trying to figure out what colors to make things. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. So one of the benefits we're going to want to think of is, again, maybe feel renewed. Leave feeling refreshed, more than you ever have before. Again, we're not worried about grammar. I'm sure my grammar is horrible. It's not great. And really, we could have just left that lorem ipsum in there, which we may just do. That way we don't have to worry about this and just kind of go through it. But if you have any questions, leave the questions in the chat and I will get to them at the end, or somebody will get to them at the end. But yeah, so let's see, border. Let's make this a softer border. Let's make sure. So maybe we do 20. Let's make sure that the buttons are also 20. So we have that equal. So looking at the type, we may want to make this thicker, or we may want to make it different because it's kind of hard to read. So let's go back into the site settings. Go into typography. Nope. We're going to go into fonts. And let's pick a different font. So what's also nice is if you let it load, it'll show you what things look like. Update. Oh, because it's text. I updated it. Oh, well, it's because I overwrote it. That's why. So let's just go back in here. I'm going to make this lighter. Just to give it like definition, but not too much. Let's put a shadow on it. Okay. So we have that. Let's just duplicate these so then you don't have to recreate them each time. Feel renewed. Friendly people. Unique experiences. And then again, you can come in here to your icon library. And what were we talking about here? Renewed, so maybe clean. I don't know. Yeah, we could do happy face. So like friend, new. Or we could make it easy to book. Let's change this because feeling renewed isn't as important as easy to make an appointment online. No. Let's think. Easily. But yeah, you want to think about like what is the actual action, not just hey, book online. So it's like convenient, convenient booking, maybe something like that. So let's make the actual column thing have more padding. Yeah, okay. Cool. Okay, awesome. All right, so we have our 3 benefits that are combating a myth that people might have when they, are looking for a spa experience, basically. So then we're going to expand on that. So let's do another section. So maybe have an intersection where we'll have another call out with, let's say, okay, is it going to let me in there? All right. Okay, for some reason it doesn't want to get in there. Nope. Okay. That's fine. Okay, so we'll put an icon list in there instead. So let's say we have our icons, which we just want to, you know, talk about, again, more of the benefits, you know. So what do we got? So maybe the types of experience, types of past experiences, maybe. Again, just talking about, you know, what the difference is. So use Japanese inspired. How do we want to do it? So let's bring in another design. So let's replace this image with that one. Let's download. And then after downloading, we're going to compress the image again. So we can have this up here. Yeah, this is all uppercase. And then we're going to center it. Let's give this some breathing room. I wish those pop-ups wouldn't keep going. And then we would, let's again put it to percent. Put this, let's delete this, and then we'll have, you know, let's do Japanese sunrise is what it's called. Let's do an accent text, maybe. We have this, some more information. This is where you would type more. Align it in the middle. Oop. What's also nice about Elementor is you can do like Control Z and undo things. A lot of web builders don't do that, and I notice when I go work in a different one, and I'm like, no, now I gotta like go down here and click undo and things like that. So let's see here. Okay. No. Let's do the actual columns. Yes. Okay. Let's go in here. Again, even though it's white space still makes a difference. If you clutter things up too much, you're not really calling someone to read. Another thing I would like to address is making sure that you're drawing people down the page. So having these little things show up here shows somebody, hey, there's something more here. And you can even emphasize that more if we create less space here. So let's say it's only 2%. Some people like that, call to action, hero image, just taking up the entire screen. But sometimes, that can be, it doesn't tell you where else to go. So I rather come here and be like, oh, that's cool, awesome, and then scroll down, there's more to read. Another option is you can get, again, a little icon. You could even do that. You can drag an icon in and, draw them down, basically. So let's say I made a section right here. An icon. Look for arrow. Or it's, what is the other one called? We'll just do arrow. It's fine. And again, draw them down the page. So let's duplicate this. We're going to switch the columns over. So it's over here. And then we're going to do this other one. We're going to download, then we're going to compress. Download. I'm making everything the same image size just to, keep it simple. Okay. And since we do have that radius on these, so if we went to style, we could find that radius again, 20. We're going to apply the same radius to the images as well, so that everything is kind of cohesive. Okay, so let's also, again, put a box shadow on it. Let's copy, and then we can paste style. Then it'll do the same thing for that one. So, light, etc. Let's duplicate. That's what we want. And then let's say it's a jungle theme. So why not? Because I think that's one of my issues with spas, is it's like so quiet and the same kind of music all the time and things like that. So, you want to try to make whatever your business is unique and different, because it makes it so much easier to, obviously make marketing materials, websites, sell the business in general, if it has something different. So even if it's the people, that's something you want to highlight, so instead of having, of course, like experiences, you would highlight, what makes it different, what people can expect from you. Okay. So we have that. And then say we want to have a book now section. So let's have, book your ultimate spa experience today. Direct call to action. And then, so what you can do here is you can use form. There are also appointment setters and things like that. And so we're going to go over that. So an appointment setter that is kind of free, Calendly is Calendly. Again, it got all the pop-ups. where'd it go? Okay, Calendly.com. So it is free, and you can log in with, whatever you want, and it'll give you a piece of code that you can put in here. So if you had that appointment code, you would go into HTML and you would put the code right here. So let's say you have any type of form setter that's unique to your business. I know we've worked with like credit repair businesses that, they have a special form because it links up with their CRM. We would then be able to put that HTML code here and allow people to fill out that form in the site. So we're not going to do that. We're just going to do this. And again, we're going to, put some space on this. Let it breathe. Okay. So now that we have that, we're just going to make a simple footer. Da. Let's put space on this. Okay, and again, you can just put the icon. Oops. Icon image spa. I would put the invert of the color. So let's make it white. And then another thing that you can do is add Google Maps location. So we can drag in Google Maps. And then you can identify an exact, location of what you're looking for. And again, you can just search it. So DeLand, Florida, we'll bring up DeLand, Florida. So if you have a physical location, you can just, type it here, comma, or put your address, and you can zoom in if you want and things like that. You can adjust the height. Again, let's make this vertically aligned in the middle, like that. So let's click update. Let's make sure that we have spa experience, update. So if we go to preview, then you can see our site. So another thing you can do is add more of these buttons. But first we're going to talk about how to drag someone all the way down to the page. So we have these things called anchors. And that will basically take somebody to where you are, where you're putting this. So let's just call this CTA for call to action. And then we'll go up here and then we will make this button the hashtag because it is a part of that same page. We're going to make it hashtag CTA. And then we're going to duplicate and then we'll just, bring that down. Let's put a section above this just for the button. Okay. And again, if you had different actual places that they could go to a different URL, because like say this is, since it's a spa site, again, some people have like a CRM that's different, then you may want to use that to direct them. So then you could make each one of these links different. But that is not what we're doing. We're just dragging them to the bottom of the page to contact us. Like we could even put it over here. But yeah. So let's do that. We view it. And go down. Let's make sure this button matches the other buttons. Okay, and you want to make sure that you have a button that is like telling them what to do. So, you know, book now. So if you're doing like buy now, book now, you know, something that is, what is the direct result of doing that? Instead of send, maybe send message. So then it is more confirming, okay, I did the right thing. This is what I was supposed to do. Okay. So that is our landing page. Now we can look at the responsive mode. And now in here you can, yeah. And then now in here you can make sure that it is all mobile responsive. So when you go into Elementor, when you have it in this mobile responsive mode setting, it will allow you to only change the size of the mobile. You can switch it, but we're just gonna change mobile. So let's do this. And again, alignment, mobile. So we're only gonna change it from mobile to make it center. Again, let's make that center. Back up. Okay, maybe we don't want it to look that much. We want to have a mobile version of that. So again, let's do right. Maybe it's oh, that's why. No. Okay. There we go. All right, again, sometimes you just gotta reset things. Let's make it 40. This off, off, going down. You could even hide this if you wanted to. So let's go to responsive, hide on mobile. So then they would just see the arrow next. You could have it even come in with motion effects, entrance, bounce in like that. Down, friendly people, book your experience. Everything. Let's switch the columns on this. Where is this one? Okay, so reverse. So then it is image, text, image, text, image. Okay, and again, we want this to be center on mobile, center on mobile. We have the map, contact, book now. Okay, so we're gonna update that. And now it is good for both mobile and desktop. Ready to go. Okay, so now you would think, okay, I made that page. If I go to spa.leaners.io, because that's our thing, it'll be there. No, it won't be there. You have to go into your dashboard, go back to settings, reading, and then you will click static page, and then ultimate spa experience, because that is what we named our page. So we click save and we refresh, and now we can see that this is our home page. So now if anyone wants to go to spa.leaners.io, you can see that. If you went 10 minutes before, you would not have seen that. So this was definitely live. If you have a freebie or anything like that that you would like to include in the site, you could also include that down below. But again, this was just to run you through how easy it is to just drag and drop and, you know, make your website happen. One thing I can go over really quick is for the form, if you decide to do a form, to make sure that it is set up going to your email. So if we go to email, buttons after submit, we have Elementor just put in collect submissions now, so that in the Elementor dashboard, it'll collect submissions. And then we have email. You would select here to address which email you would like it to go to, what email you would like it to come from, and what the from name is, and the data that you want from that form. So that is about it. We went through the basics of Elementor. There are more like templates and things like that you can make. But if we have any questions, I can go over those. But yeah, I know I did have some questions about SEO from the actual like landing page. So I can go over the plugin I would recommend for that. I recommend Rank Math if you're going to use WordPress. Before it was Yoast SEO, now Rank Math seems to be better. It also works with Elementor. And you can, again, have a free account and everything to set it up. So the important thing with SEO is to make sure that you're actually optimizing for keywords that people are searching for. So that is entirely a whole nother topic that we can, you know, go into a lot of. But essentially, your best friend should be Google and knowing who your customer is. Because if you know who your customer is and you talk to them, and that's, again, why it's so important to have these bootstrap and start from the bottom and work with the customer all the way up so that you fully know your customer, because you can hire out all you want, but you're losing so much data collection that can help your business long term. So short for SEO, make sure you actually know which keywords you want to optimize for, and find the long-tailed keywords, which are multiple words. So like, you know, where is the closest spa, or what is the best salt scrub, things like that, like longer keywords, and specialize in those, because these are the people that are looking to buy anyway. These are like they already know what they're looking for, and you're just kind of tipping them over the edge. So you want to make sure that you are the, you know, leader in being the answer to their questions. Because if you position yourself more as a thought leader, then even if people don't buy from you, you're making ambassadors for your brand to say, hey, like, you should go to this person because they know about this thing. Since there aren't any questions, if you weren't here for the recording and you want like all of the URLs to everything, please make sure that you sign up in the landing page. I'll link it below. I will also just turn that landing page into a redirect to this video so that anyone that signs up in the future will get access to this information. If you have any questions, you can always email me at jess@leannerds.io. Again, I'll include that. You can always go to our website, leannerds.io. We have a YouTube channel, Instagram. So if you ever want to connect with us, collab, or work with us, you can always reach us there. So yeah, so I hope you have a happy Friday and you keep rocking your business. But yeah, all right, bye.